Welcome to the Kzoom Borderline Too Much Fun podcast. I'm Nora.
And I'm Mike.
Today we're going to talk about the power of simplicity and why simplicity is important for design and marketing and all the stuff that we do. All right, so my first question is, when do we need simplicity? Because I feel like you would think that a really complex, interwoven process would allow the greatest efficiency in production and success. But actually, I think you need simplicity when you are telling a story, when you are presenting an idea, and when you are defining who you are. When you're telling a story, when you are defining an idea, and when you are telling people who you are.
Okay.
So everything that we're doing right now, actually, with this Kzoom podcast, we kind of need things to be simple and streamlined. So,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What do you mean by simple? Because I think sometimes people might not know what you mean by simple.
So what I mean is, after we're done recording, you or someone else is going to take this footage and bring it into a recording software, and you're going to edit it down to like 10 minutes. And that 10-minute version is going to be so much better than what we're doing just live right now. You'll want to keep that like fresh energy of something not being scripted, but it will be better because it's simplified and more honed down to the point. And then after that, you'll make like maybe even a 1 minute to 30-second reel for TikTok. And I would argue that that 1 minute to 30-second reel is actually probably going to be the most interesting version of this conversation. So that's what I mean.
So we're talking about essence.
Yeah.
We're talking about like having it being the most kind of point to point, the basic core of whatever you want. You want to stay true to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Track it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Because to me, I feel like simplicity does several different things. First of all, it cuts out any ability for mediocrity. When I was in art school, I would take gesture drawing classes where we had to draw the entire human form within like a minute, like 2 minutes. And what that did was it made it much more hard instead of easy because you couldn't hide behind, hours of meticulous, mediocre lines. You had to just put on the paper, 5 great lines within a minute. And so I feel like when you simplify things, you are not allowing for any space for mediocrity. You have to have the best of the best there.
It'd be easy to make the mistake that simple means easy.
Right.
Or that simple means not good.
Yeah.
But it actually, to make something really simple, to get down to the essence, it takes more work.
Absolutely.
In video editing, it's way easier to make an 8-minute highlight video than to make a 4-minute highlight video or a 2-minute highlight video, because you're having to continually pare back all the things. I think of writing too. I don't know who actually said it, but someone was writing a letter and it just said, "Forgive me, I didn't have time to write a short letter."
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's because it takes time to really hone in your thoughts, edit it. So I like that you said it's the removal of mediocrity too, because you're having to reduce all the things you can hide behind.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
cool.
A great way to put it. Reduce the things you can hide behind. So that was actually one of my other points, was that simplicity brings unity and clarity. So if you have, you're brainstorming for a project and you have, 20 ideas, 5 of those ideas might be great, but you want to only run with like the 3 that unify into one congealed end result for that project. So simplicity allows you to bring clarity and unity. And then the third thing that simplicity allows is it paints in broad strokes. I think that this kind of correlates with the core value podcast that we had earlier, where you want core values that are simple and concise and to the point, and also can apply across a broad range of disciplines, a broad range of experiences, because you don't want to, pin down onto one specific thing. If you have something that's simple, like a core value that's simple, then it applies across a broad range of instances. So I wanted to talk with you about good examples of simplicity in our world today, because there's a lot. So I have just a list of some of them here. I was thinking about Google, how there used to be Yahoo and there used to be Bing and there used to be all these other ones that I can't even remember.
Well, they still exist. We just don't talk about them.
Right?
We
Because
don't talk about them.
Google kind of took over the world because it was so simple. It had just that straight interface with one search bar. And it can have fun and play with having, the Google icon has changed over the years and people swap it out every day. And what allows them to have that fun and freedom is the fact that they're so simple. I was even thinking with music, you have a lot of really popular songs that are just a few notes. So one example I was thinking of was the Madagascar Move It song. You remember that one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's just, if you think, we like to move it, that's 2 notes. I feel like a lot of times things that get stuck in our head or are repetitive are actually quite simple but effective. Yeah, do you have any examples that you can think of something that's very simple?
Some of the crew got to go check out a new car. And I was talking with Josh about all the bells and whistles and the heads-up displays and how elaborate this car was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but why? And I think I was asking that because I recently went to the Gilmore Car Museum. And you see some of these older classic cars. I don't want to just say that old is better, but there was something simple about it of like, this is how you turn it on. These are the gauges I need.
Yeah.
And they're even like simple to fix. Like I would feel like I could learn how to work on an old car because it's not all computerized. I know that those have benefits for other things we're trying to do with our automotives, etc. But I think sometimes, for me, it's are we doing this just because we can or because it's actually what's best?
That's good.
And it seems like when you're asking the question about simplicity, you're trying to really have a confluence of both.
I think even of movies. So Avatar just came out with the second one, but the first one, that sounded like there was a discussion there.
Carry on though.
Okay. But the first one, it's this multi-million-dollar huge budget film, international film, and the story is so simple. It's a guy who trades or switches tribes to be with the people he loves. That's it. That's the whole story. I know you could add more details, but I feel like a lot of times the stories that we tell, the best ones that stick around are the ones that are super simple.
Yeah, think of Aesop's Fables.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason those are told because they're very effective storytelling methods. And even in a 3-hour blockbuster movie, you're going to be more moved by something if it's clear to follow the plot and clear to follow the story. You can make it longer for artistic purposes, but is it still clear what you're communicating?
So visually, from a marketing standpoint, I feel like if you look at the science behind trademarks, this is the perfect example of visual simplicity in the world of marketing that kind of deals with what I do, which is graphic design, where if you look at really successful companies such as Target, Nike, even the Olympic Games, the 5 Rings, Apple, they all have these very simple trademarks that visually say so much within just a first glance.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Did their simple iconography propel their brand success, or are they just recognizable because of the products they put out later on and they just were able to capitalize on the simplicity later on?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And I think it's both. So if you look at Kzoom, let's look at ourselves for an example. We used to have a more complex sign that had the word Kzoom and then a little play button. And so what happened was we became better at defining ourselves as time went on. We defined ourselves as a full-service marketing firm instead of just a video firm. I find it so interesting if you look at the history of almost any trademark, how it simplifies over the years. So we took off the play button, and then because we're more recognizable now than we were 10 years ago, we sometimes don't even say Kzoom. We just have the K.
Sure.
It's a K with a circle. And if you look at any successful company over time, it's simplify, simplify, simplify.
So when I hear that, it seems like this is something that companies could be regularly revisiting.
Yeah.
What is the progression? Are they becoming more clearly defined? And then that should cause a conversation about how they're visually represented.
Yeah, I think so. But I think it's more than just visual representation. What I kind of wanted to talk to you about is because you have more of a broader scope of marketing as a whole, whereas I just look at it as a graphic designer. Is there ways that it would be useful to implement, looking for simplicity and honing ideas and honing what we tell customers and stories that would be beneficial for companies as a whole for marketing, not just visually?
So you're asking like how to do this as a whole?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a lot of hard work. It takes longer. I think it's worth it. But I think there is a cost there. I think there's a cost to consider, and sometimes people don't want to hear that. But one of the greatest pitfalls in marketing is the desire to be everywhere at once and try to appeal to everyone. When in reality, the simplicity also comes in what's your product and who you're trying to market it to, and maybe what your goal is.
Yeah.
And taking the hard work to figure that out, because it's okay, and I think it's really good for companies to be like, okay, this might not be for this person, or this might not be something that you want to buy or that you want to know, and that's okay. But figuring out your target audience and really make it clear what problem you're solving for them, how you're making their life better, and doing that from the big picture of what you do, who you are, why you do it, and then going into how that would help the audience you're hoping to like sell something to, or an idea you're hoping to spread. And then if it is simple, if it's easily teachable, then other people begin to share it. So I think it's taken the time to, and I feel like I say this on every podcast or anytime I have a conversation with someone, is just like figure out who you are, why you do what you do, and the difference you're going to make in the world, and be able to communicate that in the simplest way, and not try to hide behind fancy words or presenting yourself as something you're not. It takes a lot of work and discipline, like we talked about, to get simple and to be able to articulate what your problem you're solving actually is and who it would serve. Then from there, simple, repeatable steps to like market and to learn and to monitor the results.
Part of my creative process, no matter what it is that I'm creating, whether it's a written work or a photography or something like that, I will, let's say you're creating a magazine article with photos and you wrote it.
Sure.
I would go back and edit it and try to simplify it until it hurts, until I absolutely can't take anything else away, until if I took anything else away, it would destroy what I was creating. Because then you know that what you have left is the core of what you're trying to do. And if I would have like 2 good photos for the article and 1 great photo, I would put in just the 1 great photo, like just put in the absolute best. So, yeah.
And I think that's why people end up hiring companies like Kzoom, is because it's pretty easy to make a video or pretty easy to make graphic design, but to do something great over and over and over, to refine that craft, to put in the time for editing, that I think people begin to realize how much time that actually takes, and they're like, oh, how about you guys do this?
Right.
So I think that's a huge one of the things that we can offer to people. So
I think so. Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks, Nora.
Thank you guys so much for being here, for coming. I'll see you guys next time at the Kzoom Borderline Too Much Fun podcast.
Yeah, that'll work.
Want me to do that again?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
See ya.